Right, John, we just finished filming the episode that people are about to listen to about Villa Park and Atairos and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to put a little clip at the very start of the episode to say that what you're about to listen to is very kind of name intensive, name heavy, lots of reading notes, lots of checking information and detail. This is not the usual claret and blue waffle. There's no silly, stupid questions in here. It is a lot to take in. There is a written piece to go with this podcast as well that is in the description down below. I, for one, enjoyed this episode and hopefully people listening do as well. But John, you've done a very good job, I think, explaining a lot of who are they? What do they do? What is this company? Yeah. And that is what this episode is about to be. But an informative one nonetheless. So enjoy the rest of the episode. Hello and welcome back to the Claret and Blue podcast. I'm your host for this one, Dan Rowlinson. I'm joined once again by John Townley. John, it's been a while since you and I have just done one by ourselves. As of when we're recording this, no idea when this is coming out. Maybe we've just filmed a load of stuff together. Who knows? We're here today to talk about Villa Park and the appointments to the Villa board. We got asked about this basically in a Q&A, didn't we, in the office? Who knows when? A long time ago, it feels like. And we kind of started to go through it, and I think we recorded it, and you were kind of checking your phone, and I've got that person's name wrong, and in the end we cut that entire segment. I think so. We were like, okay, right, we gave it a go, but we're not doing it. We're not doing it justice here. So I've had a bit more time, or you've had a bit more time to prepare, get yourself some notes, and we're going to go through those points today. So first of all, we're going to start with Atairos.
Yes.
Who are they, John? What is their involvement?
We did an article a couple of months ago, or weeks ago maybe, I don't know, about the four directors. And if you kind of dig into it, it's all very, I think, exciting, actually. I think, firstly, I'd go as far to saying that the deal with Atairos is arguably the most significant kind of deal that Saracens have struck. A business decision, I suppose, something that takes Villa to the next level, and that's what they've said as well. It's kind of the next phase of growth that they're looking for now. Atairos, them being on board, it's very significant. In the statements that were put out to fans in press releases, etc., they said that Atairos's capital investment will primarily be used to fund growth in infrastructure investments, which is, interesting. They're never going to say exactly what it's going to be, but as we kind of go on in this podcast, it kind of paints the picture of what could happen. And the four specific people who've been appointed into the board of directors, as you say, Dan, they all bring their own expertise, and that's why I'm interested in it. It's going to build sustainable value for Villa, basically, being joined with Atairos. That's their primary role as a company. They are basically a minority partner in V Sports. V Sports is obviously the holding company of Aston Villa. Who are Atairos? So they are said to be worth around $6.5 billion, which is obviously a lot of money.
It's quite a bit.
Yeah, Villa, their press releases, as I say, they're basically saying that it's going to position them for the next phase of their development, next phase of growth. They've come so far in 5 years, achieved a lot, on the pitch, off the pitch. We know that Villa have to increase their revenues, etc., etc. But this, to me, it feels like a different sort of partnership. Obviously, the main reason behind it is to develop Aston Villa as a football club. Financially, there has to be something in it for Atairos as well. They're not just investing money, and it sounds very obvious, but there's clearly something big at play here for me. When I was writing the piece that I put out a few weeks ago, I mentioned that strong leaders or successful business people, or successful people in general, they always surround themselves with the right colleagues, etc., that can take them to the next level. Like Emery, for example. Suarez did everything for Emery. Is giving him Monchi, Vidagani, all those people. He knows what he's doing with Emery. So what I like about this one, as we'll get on to, he knows the people who, and Edens as well. They're all familiar with these people. They're partners already in the business world. They aren't plucked from anywhere. So there's no kind of transition in that way for the new directors.
We'll talk about those individual people in a second. Just rewinding a little bit. Obviously, Atairos are an infrastructure expert, for want of a better phrase. Can we just get the kind of elephant out of the room straight away of anyone who's immediately scrolling down to the comments to say, does this mean we're leaving Villa Park imminently? If we say no, it doesn't mean that Villa are never going to leave Villa Park ever. It may happen in 10 years or 15 years, but there's no kind of imminent plans. Chris Heck has said many times, I think he said something like, it won't happen in his lifetime that Villa move away from Villa Park. So that's not what we're suggesting here. We're not saying this company has come in to bulldoze the place and start something fresh elsewhere. But I think people will instantly be going, well, they must be doing that at some point.
And the reason why I'm excited by... sorry, to answer your question first, Dan, no, they're not leaving Villa Park. We obviously reported that for a while after speaking to people in Villa, and they said, no, that's not been discussed, or there's no plans. And yeah, Heck said himself a couple of times that won't be happening. We were told previously about Villa having no plans to leave Villa Park, as you know, when these additions were made, because it's quite significant that these specific people are on board. I look at it and think it has to be something to do with the stadium, but yeah, as we'll get on to, they've got previous in terms of redeveloping things and not just building things from scratch.
Just quickly, and you might not know the answer to this, if it's not stadium related, are there alternatives? Is there other things that this company could be involved with? Like, could it be training ground related, or the shop being done? Is it that kind of stuff as well?
Possibly so. But I think because this is such a big company, where is the value in terms of infrastructure related to Aston Villa? Is it at Bodymoor Heath? Is it at Villa Park? It's at Villa Park. So I would suggest strongly that this is probably something in the offing of developing the stadium. We know that has to happen, and we know that big plans were shelved by Chris Heck not long after he joined the club. So it's interesting how kind of personally had his plans, they were taken away, and now Villa have appointed 4 people who they have history in terms of doing different projects, major, huge projects. And I don't think some of them will be of the size of what Villa might undertake in the coming years, or, that's, I don't know that for sure, but potentially. What it is they're going to bring their expertise. Maybe it's expanding Villa Park, train station stuff, whatever it may be. We know that they've kind of got a Villa hub at the moment. They've just built the inner city training ground not far from Villa Park. There's a lot going on there, which intrigues me. Yeah. If I was to guess at any of this, it would be something related to that. Man City have their complex, Birmingham. I know it's kind of all up in the air, and they're in League One, etc. But their plan is to make a bit of a sports complex as well, where they are having a training ground next to the stadium. That's it. It's quite a modern thing.
Okay, let's talk about these 4 people, and I'm going to read their names, and we'll go through them one by one. Yeah. Forgive me for any mispronunciation here. We have Atairos Chairman and Chief Executive Michael Angelakis, Managing Director of Atairos Chester Hall, Bashir Lebada, and American Sarah Waterson. Let's go through these one by one then. Michael Angelakis, first of all, basically, I don't want this just to be, who is he, John? What is this? But that is kind of what this episode is. So tell me about him.
So Angelakis, I would probably say he is now the 3rd most important person. Where Aston Villa want to go at it, again, I'm excluding the football side. I'm only talking about business and Aston Villa growing as a company, I suppose you'd say, as an entity. Angelakis, he has known Edens and Suarez for some time. Prior to founding Atairos, who is a multi-billion-pound company now, he served as Comcast Corporation's vice chairman and their chief financial officer. That's quite a big role. Comcast, I don't know specifically. I'm not going to go into the kind of Wikipedia page here, but they are a huge US-based company, I believe. In 1996, Comcast merged with Spectrum, another big company, or was, to form Comcast Spectator in 1996. That is now an industry leader of the kind of sports and entertainment field. Atairos said in their statement that they're going to bring their expertise to support the business at Villa in leisure, sports and live entertainment industries to elevate the club to even greater heights. Again, all that's quite significant because, say, Angelakis' kind of history and what he's done in business, that's more interesting to me than the Atairos stuff, because it's relative, not a new company, Atairos, but it's the people involved in the new appointments that is, Atairos is just a company that could fund stuff basically, but it's the expertise which they're talking about in all of these media releases that is the interest for me. So kind of back to Comcast, of where Angelakis was, and as I say, still advises to. They own and manage Comcast Spectator. That is, they own and manage the Wells Fargo Center, which is the home of Philadelphia 76ers.
Where Chris Heck came from?
Yeah, so obviously Chris Heck worked there from 2013 to 2022. So again, Chris Heck is known to Angelakis. In 2017, Comcast began a $400 million renovation of the Wells Fargo Centre. They brought in the world's first kinetic 4K centre hung scoreboard, an additional 8,000 seats in the stadium's lower bowl, new lockers, video rooms, analysis rooms, all that stuff, like really up to date. Not just in basketball, but in sport, in the sporting sphere. That's, as far as it goes, that is, as up to date as it could possibly be at the Wells Fargo Centre. They also, this is kind of a more boring bit, but also quite interesting for me anyway, I think. Comcast also recently built a private wireless network with Nokia for the Wells Fargo Centre, which gives like real-time analytics, different bits, and then even like parking outside, identifies traffic tendencies, the signage for cars and stuff that we don't see at Villa Park. And I know it's more complex. Yeah. These people have, say, been involved in huge projects, or at least their companies. And for example, Angelakis, I don't doubt he was involved somewhere in renovating the Wells Fargo Arena. Also have plans to build a 2.5 billion, develop with 2.5 billion pounds, kind of overhauling the South Philadelphia Sports Complex. So there'll be like a new separate concert venue, new hotel, plus more restaurants, retail, all that stuff. So like you look at Wembley, I don't know if anyone's been to I presume they would have, the kind of shopping outlet, that sort of stuff. That's if you go to the USA and go around their stadiums, that's quite commonplace to have. Yeah. We've heard Heck say before that we want to make this not just a place where you stay for 2 hours at Villa Park. You come before, you stay after, which is good because it reduces congestion, but also gives entertainment to fans. And new fans as well, because we know that that's important. Hospitality that's huge for revenue. As a season ticket holder, I'd maybe spend like £10, whereas the average supporter at Tottenham, for example, spends £90 because it's so, I don't want to say touristy, but the hospitality offerings are so much more, and people are spending so much more. There's the scope for revenue in a lot of other clubs is far greater than Villa at the moment, so that's why we're seeing Heck trying to boost premium seating, etc. But all of this ties down into the kind of the entertainment and the value of actually not just going to a football match, but it's much more. And as I say, it's interesting for me because it's in Philadelphia. It's with Heck's former sports
There's already
team.
Links there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a big link there, yeah. So Heck was there for 9 years at the Sixers. He helped raise a significant amount from match days. Again, really important for the club, for Villa, his history in doing this. He sold out every game at the Wells Fargo Centre over 5 seasons when Heck was president there. Commercially, their sponsorship also grew 30% from year to year. And Heck took over what was a £300 million franchise in the Sixers and made it like nearly $3 billion over that 9-year period. So Angelakis knows if he's investing in what is basically Villa, well, the president of operations, business operations, he knows that he has a successful track record of delivering results in previous, Comcast work with Sixers. You can see the same thing happening. Do you know what I mean? Again, all of this is, we don't know for certain, and we'd like to get to know soon. But while we only have information of who they are, I think it's interesting that there's definite links there, and these people know how Villa can be a success as well.
Would it be too simplistic to say that Chester Hall, in this Villa scenario at least, is kind of Angelakis' right-hand man?
Yeah, or a kind of a junior, I suppose, maybe. Yeah. He's he's working at Atos since 2016, and he works across all the kind of major investment functions. And you kind of raise a good point there, Dan. It's interesting, actually, throughout the board of directors here, they've all, I don't want to kind of call it like a subordinate, but it's that kind of feel to it. They all have, for example, Edens, as we'll get on to, knows Sarah Waterson. Suarez knows Bashir, and Angelakis knows Chester Hall. I know when I say knows, it's obviously far greater than just they know them. But yeah, exactly. But the links are all there. There's a lot of trust there, and they know they know that they're capable of delivering results as a really good team. So again, they haven't just handpicked people because they've done stuff previously. If you kind of boil it down, I know that fans will be saying, well, where do you build that car park? What do you do with the housing that's right next to Villa? How do you expand that? You need sign off from council, etc. What about Whittinge Station? We don't have those answers, but the 4 people who have joined the board if it was impossible to improve, or if there was no plan, well, they just wouldn't invest, and there would be no 4 new additions to the board of directors. So that's where the interest is for me. Obviously, it's our job now or my job to work out and ask questions of what that is and try and find out what's going on. But yeah, clearly something's in the offing, I think.
So let's simplify the personnel even further then. And maybe this is me speaking out of turn, so correct me if I'm wrong. Angelakis and Chester Hall, they're kind of a duo.
They're Atairos.
Then Chris Heck, that's the link. They're kind of three-pronged attack, if you like. That's your front three. Bashir Lebada is kind of Sawiris' guy, and Sarah Waterson is kind of Eden's guy. There's their links. So it's almost like kind of there's the 3, then there's the 2. And
Angelakis, I mean, he knows or has known Eden's and Sawiris for a while. They went together for the Sun Valley, the kind of the big mogul kind of retreat. I know for sure in 2012, possibly at the years as well. I don't think there's like a direct link at all between Heck and Atairos. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But those two specifically, they are Atairos. They work at Atos.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Lebada then. That's the kind of Sawiris' link. It ties in with Egypt and Sawiris' kind of family company. Explain that to me as best you can.
Yeah, so he's been close to Sawiris for a long time, decades now. He manages Orascom Construction Industries, OCI, which is, for people who don't know, Sawiris' company. OCI is a leading global engineering and construction contractor, primarily focusing on infrastructure, industrial and kind of high-end, huge projects, really. Again, this is £1 billion entity. It's huge. Where it gets interesting in this link, I suppose, is OCI have literally just completed the build of a 90,000 seater stadium in Egypt back in January, and this is the kind of the 4 people who just joined the board. Right, Angelakis has links with Comcast and is still an advisor there. Oh, and all of a sudden, Sawiris' right hand man who just helped build a 90,000 capacity stadium. Come on, we have to make the link here. So largest stadium in the Middle East, I believe, 90,000. OCI have also helped build Egypt's monorail in 2019, which is the longest monorail system in the world. OCI also played an integral role in the development of the Cairo metro lines as well, I believe. So yeah, that's kind of going into the transport bit, which we'll get onto a bit more in a minute. But again, there's kind of a clear link here of, where this could be going. Bashir Lebada didn't literally, lay the bricks of this stadium, but in terms of project management and, dealing with these huge projects, that's his thing.
90,000 seater stadium aside, then obviously Lebada's got links with improving transport links in Egypt, as you mentioned. Sarah Waterson, a high-speed railway network in the US. You can kind of see now where things are starting to come together a little bit. And we are only speculating here to a certain extent, but big infrastructure investment company comes on board, people who have built stadiums on board, and people who have improved transport links have come on board. I think it's fair to assume. And we said at the start about, does this mean Villa are going to leave Villa Park? And the answer currently is still going to be no to that. But when you've got people with this wealth of experience, you do think, and this is me just speaking as a fan, well, if we are ever to leave Villa Park, we've got the right group of people here who can make that happen in a successful manner. But if we're to stay at Villa Park, which is what I hope we do, we've also got the expertise to make it better. As much as we love Villa Park, it is a stadium that is getting out of date. It needs modernisation. It needs bringing up to 2024 standards, and these people will help them do that as well.
Could you imagine when they all sit around the table, what they talk about? I want to be the fly on the wall, and I don't know how many people are that interested. I kind of pushed us to do this podcast, didn't I, Dan? And what I would say is read the article that I wrote. That will be in the comments, hopefully, because that's, mate, we're kind of too far gone already because we've come this far, but I tend to stumble over my words when I'm basically reading off notes. I am very excited about it because, yes, the questions are, well, how do you improve? How do you do this? But these people aren't coming on board and then asking those questions themselves. There's clearly a plan in place, and as I say, I'm interested to see what that plan is or what their plans are. So, Sarah Waterson. So, I think most people will probably be aware, actually, that Bright Line West, which is Wes Eden's baby, basically, they broke ground on the high-speed railway in I don't know, a few years ago, but it's kind of gathering pace now. Pardon the pun. Yeah, it's had back recently awarded something £1 billion in funding from President Biden's infrastructure bill recently. It's going to link Las Vegas to South Carolina, zero emissions, fully electric trains, like, you know, a huge project. Again, billions of pounds have gone into it. But yeah, that's something that Edens has been working on for obviously a long time, and Sarah Waterson has been crucial to that and the delivery of the project as well. So yeah, responsible for all aspects of the business development and delivery, as I say, for Brightline West. That's Sarah's job basically. In words, and this is again interesting here that she previously worked with Edens as a managing director for his Fortress Investment Group, and also alongside him at the Milwaukee Bucks Milwaukee Bucks basketball team. A kind of, again, a subplot of more stadium minutiae, I suppose. She helped to deliver and develop the 725,000 square foot arena, which the Bucks play in, and 20 acres of surrounding land, which is mixed use development for the Bucks as well. So, more kind of fuel to the Villa Park fire, I suppose. Certainly interesting that all these people have the right ingredients to do something quite exciting, I think, for what is pretty obviously going to be something to do with the stadium or surrounding areas, bits and bobs. But yeah, the main question is what? It's interesting just to paint the picture of who they are and why they're on board. Well, I think we can kind of answer those questions, but then what exactly do they have planned? That's what we don't know for now. But whatever it is, I'm sure it's something, worth the time, because as I say, these are highly successful people doing huge projects elsewhere. They're not just going to be jumping on the Villa board just because I know Swiris or Edens or whatever it may be.
They're not doing it for a favour, are they?
Yeah, exactly. And again, you kind of, and in that sense, you're talking more about Atairos because they're the ones who will be funding whatever happens. I don't know to what extent, but yeah, it's certainly interesting, I think.
We'll call it a day there for this episode. Lots of information, lots to take on board. Now, the name Atairos specifically won't be new to Villa supporters, and hopefully the people we've talked about won't be either. This is something that the club announced a few weeks ago now, maybe months even.
Yeah.
This is the first proper chance we've had to properly sit down and talk about it and hopefully do it justice and just explain who these people are and what they are and what they may bring to Villa. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation around the stadium, staying, leaving, sports complexes, museums, hotels, club shops, whatever it is. There's stuff there, and all that comes under the bracket of infrastructure, and these people are here for that reason. So this is who they are and what they've done before. It's not a suggestion of what is to come. And when we know more in the weeks, months and years ahead, obviously we'll be here to talk about all that as well. But as just an overall explainer of these people have come and got involved in Villa, who are they? I think you've done a good job at explaining that.
Yeah, and as I said a few minutes ago, probably better off reading the piece, but it's a bit late, so, but that does detail it better than...
Sometimes it's easier to read things rather than
listen to me,
to listen to them. But I think also it's easy to listen to things, on the move and stuff. So hopefully,
I might have left out some details as well. I can't quite remember. There might be some other snippets in there. So read it.
Thanks everyone for choosing the Can't Blue podcast to listen to or watch. We appreciate your support as always. I don't know when this is coming out. I don't know what episodes we've just released or what's coming up, because we're pre-recording lots of content at the moment. So basically, stay subscribed, stay tuned to Claret and Blue. Thank you for watching this one. We'll see you on the next one.